Tell Me About It is brought to you by Extreme Health Club.
Hey, this is James Brown here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch the show live every Thursday at 6 p.m. And you can also catch it on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel. You can catch it on 104thescore.com and KY Sports TV. Trevent Hayes' day job has taken him away from us this week, so we've got Brandon Stockton in here to talk to us. For those who have been under a rock for, 30 years or whatever, and don't know who Brandon Stockton is, well, I mean, he was Mr. Basketball in 2002. Man, that was a long time ago.
It was.
It's the year before I got here. And then, played at the University of Kentucky, had a good career there at Glasgow High School. Has been an assistant coach at Glasgow High School off and on through the years. Coached at the middle school as well for a while. And just on Monday was named the new boys head basketball coach at Glasgow High School. We'll get to all that in the second segment of the show. What his plans are, what he thinks about taking the job now. But we're going to start out kind of talking about your career. And really the first thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you remember how old you were when you first thought, man, basketball is a thing for me?
Most definitely. I was actually in sixth grade. A lot of people don't know, but I used to play baseball as well. I was a really good baseball player, and I decided in sixth grade that I wanted to play basketball full time. Mm-hmm. So I gave up baseball, decided to switch to basketball year round, and kind of the rest is history from there. But it was definitely sixth grade when I gave up any other sport and just focused everything on basketball.
Was it something specific that happened when you were in the sixth grade that you can recall? Like maybe you were playing a middle school game or one of those Glasgow youth sports games and something happened and you're just like, man, I just love this.
Really what happened was when I was out as a young kid in sixth grade, I used to play baseball a lot in the sun, and I used to get headaches. I used to get migraine headaches a lot. And it was either keep fighting the migraine headaches. Of course, I've grown out of those now, but it was either that or, play basketball all the time. And even though I was still outdoors a lot, I don't know if it just had to do something with the uniform or, been in the heat, the hat on, or anything like that. But I just decided to make a full transition to basketball right at the beginning of sixth grade. And I think that was a great choice because that's when Coach Bart Fleener came to Glasgow to work as a teacher and a coach. And, as I say, he and I teamed up then and kind of just rolled with it.
Now, I mentioned playing in the youth league and that kind of thing, but I'm going to guess that at that time you probably spent some time at one of the two parks playing basketball as well, because that was still kind of a popular thing back in the day. I don't know how many people go and do that these days.
None. You can drive through a park right now and it's deserted.
Yeah, but used to, man, you'd have to wait in line for an hour or whatever to get on court, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so Twyman Park is where I kind of grew up playing basketball. And it's funny because kids my age at that time started down on the monkey bars. Yeah. I don't think there's any monkey bars in the park anymore. But, we played basketball on the monkey bars. And so that was a thing that we did.
You try to dunk on each other in the monkey bars,
yeah,
right?
So that was fun, playing in the dirt, going home dirty. And that's where I, played a lot of my basketball was in Twyman Park on the monkey bars until about, I guess it was probably like almost eighth grade. By that time, I'd gotten better, gotten just a little bigger, and transitioned from the monkey bars to the basketball court with the grown men. Yeah. So that's kind of my transition from the monkey bars to the court, and I just kind of grew into a basketball player.
Now, were there some dudes who were playing down there at that time that you kind of looked at? I grew up playing in the park as well, and fouls. You call your own fouls, so to speak. Except sometimes you just get fouled, and then you spend 30 minutes arguing over whether or not you got fouled. Yeah. And so you got some dudes who are like, man, I didn't foul you, even though he knocked your head clean off your shoulders. And some dudes are like, that's fine, that's fine. So, were there dudes down there that you kind of learned from in terms of like toughness and kind of how to take care of yourself in that situation? Because, you were young.
Yeah. when I started playing at the Twyman Park on the courts, you had guys like Larry Hayes, Robbie Hayes, Brock Rogers, William Buford, Coach Buford that was just here, Nate Allen, Tracy Stockton, Ronimo Sanderson, Jerome Rhodes, all those guys that, back in the day, those are the guys that I would hang with on the basketball court. And every day they would just beat me up. Beat me up. And I can remember plenty of times I went home from being on the blacktop and having scars, busted nose, and just, as a kid, just getting beat up. But when you look back on things, that mental toughness you had to have made me the better basketball player that I am. And I really grew from that mentally and physically because, they didn't cut me any slack, even though I was young. So in order to get on that court, you have to have that. Or you sit on the sidelines and you watch.
So did you keep playing out there even through high school? Because your accolades in the state, your recognition in the state is elevating as you're going through high school. Did you still go out there, kind of the Jordan love of the game, going out there playing?
Every day.
Right?
Every single day. And I'm just not talking just, days, off days. I'm talking about even after basketball practice, I would rush to the park to catch pickup games. Or if they weren't playing in the park, I would rush to the YMCA to play pickup games. So it was just, I treated basketball like a full-time job. Yeah. And it was 7 days a week, 365, every day.
Now, you became known, I'm guessing, as an outstanding ball handler and shooter, probably especially in that window, 97 to 2002, where three-pointer was prevalent, but people weren't really running offenses for the three-point shot and that kind of stuff. But you kind of became known as one of those guys. Do you think you developed that outside shot because you knew going out there and playing, if you're going into the lane, there were no freebies, so you needed to be able to hit some shots from a distance?
Well, playing in the park, you have to be a pretty good shooter. It's hard to shoot outdoors.
Yeah.
Sight
lines are terrible.
Yeah. And the court down there was uneven, so you're shooting uphill on one end, one of the rims higher than the other. You know what I mean? So you have to learn to be a shooter. You have to learn to adjust. I did a lot of that. And I guess one of the guys that I really looked at when it came to shooting was Fred Stockton. Outstanding shooter.
Yeah.
In his basketball career. He's probably still outstanding shooter.
Yeah.
Perfect form. He could just really shoot the basketball. And I always watched him shoot the ball. And he played outdoors with us at the park. And, I just kind of try to take his game as far as him shooting and learn how to shoot. And I started outdoors. And, of course, people know in my freshman and junior year, I wasn't much of a shooter. I was very streaky from the outside. And I spent, after my sophomore year, I really spent a whole summer. I think every workout I did consisted of just jump shots. And there were times where I would work out and play pickup games and I wouldn't even shoot layups. I would just shoot jump shots.
So, I guess as you're playing in those games, you're thinking to yourself, all right, I got to work on this thing. Even though, it may be, you may have been able to do other things and score and do whatever you wanted to, but out there you're like, all right, in this game situation, I got to learn how to do this better.
Yeah, definitely, because playing with grown men in Twyman Park, they're physically much stronger than you are. So driving to the basket at that point was not something that I particularly did well.
Yeah.
Because you're going in there amongst trees. At that time I was probably, I'd say 5'7".
Yeah, it's a bodily hazard.
Yeah, going in there, you're just asking for somebody to block your shot. So, I still did it to learn how to maneuver and get my shot over taller people, but I really had to work on my shot. And, shooting outdoors was, I guess at Twyman Park was, I don't know, I became probably a pretty good shooter at Twyman Park because I did it every day. But that was something I really focused on. And when I played with the older guys, you had to be good at something to get on the court. One, I was good at ball handling because I did it every day. And two, if I could catch and shoot, I was pretty good at that. So a lot of times I got picked up.
Yeah. Now, what is the most important thing that you think you learned playing out there at Twyman Park that then helped your game, elevate your game so that you ended up, being Mr. Basketball and that kind of thing?
I think just the creativity and just actually learn the game because it's pickup. So, nowadays you look at pickup, it's a lot of one-on-one and things and people watching. And you're playing street ball, and you got to be able to move without the ball. You got to be able to just know how to screen, cut here, cut there. You know how to get open, because if you don't get open, you're not going to get the ball.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to score, and then you're a liability. So you had to be very, very creative on how to get on the court and stay on the court. And I didn't like to lose. So
Right.
for me, just being creative with my game and learning new moves and things like that helped me, I think, as I got older.
I always remember the dudes used to tell me, if you want the ball, go get a rebound. So
Well, I wasn't getting any rebounds, I can tell you that. So,
that used to be the thing. They'd be like, if you want the ball, go get a rebound.
yeah, I wasn't getting any rebounds. So in my size, I had to make sure that my game was creative enough
Yeah.
and strong enough that people wanted to give me the ball.
So when you were in high school and you were playing for Bart Fleener, you mentioned that when you were in 6th grade, he came to Glasgow. Do you remember when the relationship between the two of you first started, in terms of like that coach-athlete relationship?
I do. AAU ball was different when I played. We played with our school team. So in 6th grade, the guys that I was in 6th grade with and I graduated high school with, there was about 7 to 8 of us that played AAU ball together. So it was just Glasgow. And Ryan Durham he's my best man at my wedding, my best friend. His dad was our coach.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of summers at his house in the backyard playing on the courts and things, and we had a travel team that we would play together. And we just played everywhere. And when Coach Fleener came, Alan Fleener, his brother, was a Little League coach when I played Little League, and I played against him, and he kind of saw me play against him and knew that I was pretty good, and he had already talked to Coach Fleener. So Coach Fleener had heard about me. He had never really seen me play.
Yeah.
So I guess it was, middle school at the time. We're playing AAU ball and stuff, and he comes over and sees me play. And I think he's there at a game. I can't remember who we're playing exactly. I think I get a steal, and I make a behind-the-back pass literally from half court to Ryan, and he catches it on the block just to lay it up.
Yeah.
Literally a behind-the-back pass. And I remember him coming to me and say, "How'd you make that pass?" And from there, that was our relationship. That's how it started. And so even with our AAU teams, he would travel and be around our AAU teams. So that group of guys, which he won a lot of ball games with in high school, he kind of just surrounded himself with a lot. And pretty much from there, he and I were always in communication.
Yeah. Do you think that relationship, I mean, it looked like you were on a good path anyway, but do you think that relationship is one of the things that kind of helped you get through high school, and go on and play at Kentucky and that kind of thing?
100%. As I stated on Monday in my press conference, I owe a lot. Brandon Stockton has owed a lot to Coach Bart Fleener. Even though a lot of my game, I grew up in Twyman Park and things, as far as organized basketball, he came in and he mentored me as a basketball player. He would talk to me about certain things and about the game. And I think just the relationship we grew over the years, when it came to basketball, him bringing ex-players in when he coached at other places that may have went to a small college and played, having workouts and things. I think his whole mindset was, okay, this guy may have very good potential. I'm going to water that potential and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And that relationship we had just started in 6th grade was tremendous for me, like a father figure, and it was just huge. So.
Well, and I know we're going to talk about coaching and that kind of thing in the next segment. But do you think that for you becoming a head coach and even as an assistant, do you think that's kind of how you see your role when it comes with the players?
Most definitely. I've always told people say, where do you get your coaching from, or how do you see yourself as a coach? And I always say Coach Fleener. He had the most impact on me as a player, or as a person.
Yeah.
Even though I played for legendary Coach Tubby Smith, some of my things come from him. I take certain things, but Coach Fleener had the most impact on me in my life.
Yeah. Well, and I would think, and I've seen this from folks who played in college, and we'll talk about this in the second segment. A lot of them, what they learn from college is how to organize things. They learn how to communicate with the players at the high school level. I mean, is that kind of what you think you got out of this, your two experiences here?
I do. I really do. And he was very good at communicating, man of faith. So he always communicated in a way that the players that he was coaching would understand him and relate to him. And you got to adapt to your players. You know, not every player is the same. So you got to be able to coach each one of them differently.
Yep. All right. This is Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6. I'm James Brown here with Brandon Stockton. We'll be right back.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Introducing the Glasgow EPB Customer Payment Portal and mobile app. With our new sleek and user-friendly payment portal, managing your Glasgow EPB services has never been easier. And if you need to make a payment on the go, our new mobile app lets you pay your bills with just a few taps. The Glasgow EPB Customer Payment Portal and mobile app, because managing your Glasgow EPB services should be as simple as flipping a switch. Visit glasgowepb.com/billpay today to sign up and download the app.
Hi, this is James Brown here on Tell Me About It, back here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. I'm here with Brandon Stockton, the new boys head basketball coach at Glasgow High School. Now, you were an assistant for Jeff Hall. Was that your first assistant job when you worked with Jeff Hall?
It was. Love Coach Hall. Love Coach Hall.
I've said before about Coach Hall, because I always enjoyed just talking to him and everything, because, I mean, I don't think there's anything in the world maybe that matters to him more than maybe his family and basketball. And I'm not sure which one actually came first. Because, I mean, he was serious about some basketball.
He was.
And you know, he'd played on a championship team there at Louisville and knew what it took to be good at the game. And I always thought the most impressive thing about him as a coach to me was the people that he would take who were not basketball players and figure out a way to make them contribute, teach them things they needed to do and that kind of stuff. I mean, one of the things like at Glasgow High School, there was a really good group of athletes when he was there, but also only a couple of them were really basketball players. Most of them played 2 or 3 sports. But that team really had a chance to win the regional tournament, minus a couple of situations that occurred. Plus, Warren Central and Bowling Green are always good, so there's that. But yeah, that must have been an interesting time to be around the program from the coaching aspect of it.
It was. I learned a lot from Coach Hall. His passion for the game is unmatched. And I think that's how he and I relate in some way, because when you play on a certain level in basketball, like he did, he's got a championship to back his up. You grow that passion for the game and the love for the game, and it's going to translate over into coaching. It has to. And his fire for the game and the way he relates it to his players and tries to make them better was unmatched. Like, I loved coaching and learning and mentoring under him when he was there. Like I said, that was my first time really getting into coaching, and I learned a lot from him at that time.
Well, and in the prior segment we were talking about the difference between coaching at the high school level and coaching at the college level, maybe the high school level being about being able to be on the level with the players and communicate with them. At the college level as a coach, I mean, the assistants do all of the communicating, I would say, for the most part. And because the head coach, especially these days at the college level, has so many things on their plate, that those assistants are very important, I would say. But, I guess one thing about Coach Hall and anybody who's played at college probably is that organizational structure, being able to set up practices and knowing, kind of seeing, I guess, a structure of how a practice is going to go from the beginning to the end of the season, that kind of thing.
Yeah. any coach I've kind of been around, especially in high school, and even when I was a player, most coaches, well, let's just go ahead and put it all the way to college. I remember Coach Smith doing it too. They always have a practice plan, and you know how you want your practices to go. And I guess a lot of it is for organization and time management because you only get a certain window.
Yeah.
But they always have stuff written down about what they want to work on. Now, those things might run over a few minutes, but they try to stay on course because they want to get things done in a timely manner to be able to get things in and teach players what they want to teach them.
So what are some things philosophically that you think are the most important things for players to learn?
Always, even when I coach middle school, it's always about fundamentals first. You got to be able to learn the fundamentals before you can grow into anything else. If you don't have the fundamentals down, it's hard for you to pick up on other things. Just working with your left and right hand, being able to finish left and right, be able to dribble left and right. You'd be amazed at some of the players today, how many players will only go right. And then that's true. I mean, if people look at my career, I love to go right, but I could go left. So most people would play me to my left. Well, when I started going left and scoring left, well, now you got to stop me from going left and make me do something different. Well, most of the time that was make me go back right. Well, I love going right. So it's just those little things that as a player you have to know how to do. You have to earn that skill set to be a great player, especially if you want to play at a certain level.
Well, and I think I see that a lot of players practice on things. But what I sometimes see is when they get into the games, they go back into whatever the thing they feel most comfortable with. Sort of like we were talking about that first segment, they're not in the games themselves, especially I think in the games that don't count, like the AAU games and that kind of stuff. They don't seem to in the games to really take that opportunity. This is what I worked on in practice. Now I need to try to do this on the court.
Correct.
How do you get players to get out of that rut?
Well, first you got to make them uncomfortable in a drill. Being uncomfortable in a drill is when you're learning. And you take that and you take the comfortable out of it and make them only be able to do what's uncomfortable. So if somebody doesn't like using their left hand, well, now they got to do a drill, maybe a layup drill. They can't use their right hand, and they can only use their left and make them keep doing it until they get better. So now it's a drill that they do consistently.
Yeah.
Well, the consistency is the key.
Yeah.
If you're only doing it 1 or 2 days a week, then what they feel comfortable doing is going to come back.
Right.
And so I try to drill that on a consistent basis, and I try to get them to understand, you just can't do it when you're in the gym with the coach. I think if you would ask anybody, especially Coach Fleener, he would tell you how I got better was not because it was in practice when I was practicing or when he was in the gym. It was always when I was by myself doing it on my own.
Well, and I guess that's kind of maybe some people play a sport and some people love a sport. And I guess that's maybe the thing. I mean, you've been around these guys the last couple of years, most of them that'll be coming back. How do you get them to have that passion, you think?
Well, first and foremost, you got to find out what they love. I've got a few guys in my group right now that say they want to play at the next level. Yeah. Well, to want to play at the next level is not enough. So like you said, you have to love it. In order to love it, you're going to give something up. Right. So you got to
sacrifice.
There's a sacrifice that has to be made, and you have to be 100% committed to that. It's just like a job. Yeah. If you're going to take a job, you have to be 100% committed to that. Yeah. There can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's the message I'll relay over the summer to the guys. I know we're a small school, so we've got kids that play a couple different sports, and they may excel in those sports. So a lot of times it is hard, but at the same time, you can be good at multiple sports. Yeah, I mean you really can, but you got to find the time to put work into those sports. And being a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, we all know the extra time that you have is not playing a sport or working on that game unless you love it. Yeah.
Well, and talking about the summer, because that'll be your opportunity. You'll run your drills and all, you'll get your workouts in. But when you guys get an opportunity to spend 2 or 3 weeks playing some games during the summer, I guess will be when maybe you're not working on your strategies, whatever offenses or defenses you're going to run, but maybe that's when you're working with the players trying to get them to do these things in the games because the games don't count. If you lose a game, it doesn't matter.
Right. The summer is all about growth. And that's when you learn a lot about your players, see what they can do. Because it's not a whole lot of thinking. There's really not a whole lot of structure. Yeah, you have a base, defense and offense, just something so they know what they're doing. But a lot of it is just like park ball.
Yeah.
Like you have to be out there, you have to be creative, you have to be able to play as a unit. And I think that's what over the years when I played summer ball with my guys or with my team when I was in high school, we were pretty good because we had played together for so long. Some of these guys are just now learning to play together.
Yeah. Well, how do you foster that relationship? How do you get them to be more comfortable and trust each other when they're playing together?
Just get them in the gym.
Yeah.
That's it. We got to have gym time. We got to play pickup games. I'll bring back some past players who still play and guys to be in the gym with them and just play pickup ball. Yeah. And that's the only way you learn it is just to play.
You gonna bring in any guys whose main job is to like mug people and that kind of stuff, so they can get used to the fact that in the fourth region you're gonna get mugged sometimes. You're just not gonna get the call.
Yeah. Well, I've coached a lot of the players over the year that have graduated from Glasgow. Only early on in middle school and stuff, and like Sam Bowling and those guys. So all those guys want to come back and play and pick up and help and just get out there and be competitive with the guys. And that's what you got to get, the competitive side. And, I think when that comes, the rest will fall in place.
Now, in more technical terms, what kind of basketball do you want to see? I mean, how do you want your guys to play in terms of style and that kind of thing?
We're going to get up and down. I think we got some athletes on the team. We're fast. We're not very tall, so we're going to have to get up in people and full court press and run and gun and get some layups and easy buckets. But I've always been, and I don't know that this even fits me because I was more of an offensive-minded player than defensive-minded. But as a coach, I'm more defensive-minded than I am offensive, and so I'm real big on defense. I remember Coach Fleener telling me in my high school days that it may not always be pretty on offense, but defense can win you some games. Yeah. And so if you can stop the other team from scoring, a lot of times it doesn't matter how many points you score. So it's not always pretty, but hey, you got to be good on the defensive end. So defense is one of my big things. And I think we're a good enough team, which we shown last year. Yeah. We play some pretty good teams that if we want to be in the ball games, you stop the other team from scoring. If you're having an off night, you can be in a ball game.
That must have been a bit of a frustrating season for you guys this past season because, you can beat people like Adair County, play well against Bowling Green and that kind of stuff, and then you have some other games against some other teams. It's like, don't know what happened.
And it comes back to that statement. Like, okay, we may not be having a good offensive night, but we're not doing anything on defense. Yeah. And so when our defense is bad and we're just letting the other team score at will, then that puts you out of the game. So it's going to start on the defensive end. And I think for this team to be successful, we're going to have to be really, really good defensively, especially in the fourth region.
Well, and really that is what happened in that run in the playoffs, as you guys kind of started playing some really lockdown defense. I remember the Prince at Warren East killed you guys the first three games, and you guys defended him real well in that district game. So, do you think that kind of carries over? Now they had that little bit of success. I know you lost, three seniors, J.C. Walbert, most critical among those. But, you brought back most of these guys who had this successful run. Do you think that's something that carries on even though there's a coaching change?
Most definitely. I'm going to continue what Coach Buford and I actually started over a couple of years. And it's just to get back to hard-nosed basketball. Defensively, I think the success that they saw and the happiness and the cheer on their face, I would, assume carry over because everybody knows through the early part of the season it was frustrating. Yeah. You have a good game here and then all of a sudden you look like you don't even look like the same team. So consistency is going to be the key in that. But I believe I've got the guys that can do it, and we're just going to continue on and hopefully that success and confidence. Knowing that, hey, if we play this way, we can win ball games.
Now, your schedule is probably pretty much set. I'm guessing Buford probably set it. But do you have control over your Christmas tournaments and that kind of stuff? I mean, what are you looking for in these different situations?
I've looked at the schedule like twice now, and there's still a few things, we may have to switch between now and then. I think we've already got like 25 games scheduled. So, yeah, he had the schedule pretty much done. I think there's a Christmas tournament before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's kind of on the schedule. Not much after, but I don't want to do too much this first year. I want to be able to really get in there and start teaching these kids a lot of things.
Yeah.
And not take on too much the first year.
Yeah.
Basically. So.
You've been doing this, I guess, 3 days. What's the most important thing you learned in the first 3 days of being the new head coach?
Scheduling, really, and that's just not basketball game scheduling. It's just scheduling of things that you need to get done. Moving around, make sure things are in place to be able to handle day-to-day responsibilities. So I'm having to write down a lot of stuff because there's a lot of stuff right now that I need to do as a head coach to prepare not only for the summer but for the season. So
you've gone from being a local hero to the most wanted man in Glasgow, probably in a 30-minute span on Monday.
Yes, phone's been blowing off the hook for interviews and FaceTime. So that, along with trying to be in the gym with my players and get players and see where players are, because like I said, right now it's just summer and workouts. A lot of players are playing other sports and things. So I'm just trying to get everything together.
All right. Well, Brandon, I want to thank you for taking some time to interview here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And this is I'm James Brown here on Tell Me About It. Been here with Brandon Stockton, new boys basketball coach at Glasgow High School. We'll be back next week.